2, 1, and we are on.
Hey everybody, this is Dave with Dave's Island Instruments, Dii. Hey, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be doing a live handpan class for beginners and anybody who's interested in handpan in general. We got an excellent guest today. I'm going to be introducing him in a minute, but let me get all the other stuff out of the way first. We've got our subscribe button here, of course, below the screen, the red subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'd be great to have you as a subscriber. Also, go to our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is at Dave's Island Instruments. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. So check us out. It'll be great to have you as on there as well. So we do all sorts of announcements for what we're doing here at Dii with handpans and ukuleles. We have announcements about our specials and all sorts of things like that on those platforms. So check it out. Also, if you haven't gone to our website, davesislandinstruments.com, you can join our newsletter at the bottom of the homepage. And I also want to announce that we have a lessons platform that we are promoting now. It's called the Dii Community, and you can also sign up for the Dii Community on the homepage. And I believe there's a drop down from the top of the screen that you can click on. Otherwise, I think you can go to the Services tab and figure out there on click the link that goes to the Dii Community sign up page. All right, so just let me, for all of you have not done something like this before, I want to let you know that I'm the owner of Dii. I make and sell the handpans here at Dii. I've been doing it for 30 years. This is my 30th anniversary this year of actually not making handpans, but making instruments out of steel. Like I first started making steel drums back in 1991. That was my first attempt back in 1991. So it's been a while that I've been doing this, but I'm really gung-ho about it, and I really enjoy it. So I'm still doing it today and still trying to teach and spread the love all over the place. Another thing I want to mention is, let's see, I've been doing this here at the store. We've got a little storefront here in Lakewood, California. And we used to have, before COVID, had all of the people come to our store, and we would have the handpan classes here in the store. And obviously, since COVID started, we've been doing everything online. And that's how this YouTube live broadcast has been developed. So it's been really fun. We traditionally bring customers into the store and we show them how to play the handpan, how to get started on the handpan, and all sorts of beginner ideas that go along with it. So one thing that's been really fun is to learn from other people. So sometimes even during our classes before COVID, we would have guests come in and they would teach the classes rather than myself. So today's one of those days, and I've got an excellent guest for you today. He's absolutely fantastic. I would say probably one of the premier experts of handpan in the world. And he's one of the first persons that I got to know in the handpan world. And he's absolutely a wonderful person, excellent personality, infectious laugh. And you're going to love him. And like I said, he's an amazing player. Today, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section. If you have any comments or questions, we can answer them live today. And again, if you have any questions about how to play, how to get started on the handpan, any of those questions that you might have, please ask them. I can have my perspective, and I'm sure Peter will lend his perspective as well. All right, so with no further ado, we're going to now have Peter come on screen with us. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, great to see you, Dave.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, this is super sweet. Thank you for including me.
So before we move on, I just want to ask a real quick personal question. How did your day go so far today? Are you feeling like nice and warm? Because you're in Florida, right?
I'm in Florida, yeah. So it's very warm. Had a nice long walk today. The moon has been beautiful. Got to attend fire last night, and yeah, it's been very sweet.
Oh man, the moon out here was gorgeous last night. Super clear, super huge, full moon. It was gorgeous. And then today, I just want to share something with you really quick. Daniel, can you pull up the strawberries photo? All right, so here's a little taste of California. So today, on the way here to the show, I decided to buy like a big box of strawberries, California organic grown strawberries. So there you go. Just wanted to share some California love with you right there. All right, so that's my little California love statement right there. Glad to hear from you. And now I think you wanted to play a little bit something for us right before we got started on the interview, right?
I'd love to play. Yeah, I'd love to play. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's hear it. I'd love to hear it as well. All right, go for it. That was gorgeous. Of course. Every time I hear you play, it's always gorgeous. I'm always impressed. You're absolutely amazing, Peter.
This is a really sweet Hokkaido built by David over in Hawaii, Makai Instruments.
Oh, yeah. David's wonderful. Before we get involved with too much of the playing and the questions about playing, by the way, if anybody out there is watching, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put those in the comments window, or even just say hi. You can say hi from Florida or hi from Nebraska or anything like that.
I'll give a little quick shout outs here, Dave.
Got a shout out.
We got Shane Sizemore from Oregon. We got Diva D from San Diego. We got Polly and Barb from Montana. And Diva is asking a question of Peter already, so hold on, bring it on the screen. Boom. And it says, what scale is Peter's hand in?
This is a F sharp Hokkaido. So that's a Phrygian scale. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Very
so hopefully
cool.
Diva, that answers your question, and that's all we have for you.
Yeah. Handpan scales are always the funny question. A lot of people have questions about scales. So Peter, before we get too far along, I want to, before we kind of get into the lessons aspect and like answering all sorts of questions about how you just played that, I want to do a little look back on your life and how you got started with handpan. So I only got to know you at the Laughing Waters Handpan USA gathering. I think it was in like 2010 or 11 or something like that. Daniel, I think you've got a picture of that. Yeah. No, that's actually Pantasia. So that's Daniel, and that's Peter in Pantasia. And that was a few more years along, like maybe 2015 or something.
Here we go.
There you go. So you see me in the bottom with all those handpans on the ground. That's the Laughing Waters handpan gathering. That was around 2010. And right, that's not actually Peter playing in the top right, but that's where one of the first times I saw him was on that stage right there. And he played, I believe, the didgeridoo and the handpan together, and I was just blown away. So I've always been blown away by your musicianship and your skills, and I'm just so delighted to have you here. All right, so that's my background of how I got to know you, and just casually getting to know you, wandering around the campus there and talking with you casually. But so just give me a brief like bio of like, what did you do before handpan? When were you first introduced to handpan? When were you first introduced to handpan, and then how did you get started? Was there any mentor there, or did you just do it all by yourself?
Yeah, so I'll try to give the super Reader's Digest version as best as I can.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of music when I was a kid. My parents helped me out with piano lessons and drum lessons, but I was a terrible student and just refused to practice.
Right.
So I didn't really get into music like on my own until around well, I was failing somewhat miserably out of college. It was I went to Virginia Tech, and it was not the right place for me.
Right. Yeah.
And somehow I found hand percussion there. I was like in my early 20s. And then I found American Indian flute a couple years after that. And then I moved to Florida and went to massage school. And at that time, one of my friends from massage school posted on my wall in 2008 and said, "This made me think of you." And they posted that amazing video of Manu Delago, the Mono Desire piece from way back then. Oh my gosh. And when I saw that, I knew that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That was really clear.
Wow. So
of course,
by the time I saw you, I think it was around 2010 when I saw you. You'd only been playing for 2 years at that point then.
Yeah, I got my instrument in the summer of 2011, I think. So I think that was the second Laughing Waters that we met.
Okay, maybe, yeah, later, maybe.
Yeah, it took me a full 2 years to get my instrument at that point.
Right.
Because
now,
you remember
at
back
that
then
point
there were
too,
3 builders.
Yeah. So also in the early days, it was really hard to get a handpan, even more difficult than it is now. And did you get a hang, or did you get what did you get?
I did. I got a PANArt Hung, and it was an integral scale, and I had written PANArt and got no response, as many people did at that point. And I remember I was at a drum gathering, and somebody had one, and I felt just like a little kid in middle school, like with a crush or something. I couldn't. I was with my friend. I had to go away. I was like, he won't even let me touch it. And finally, I got up to go, and I played, and well, he let me play, and he was like, "How long have you been playing for?" I was like, "This is my first time." And he said, "Well, listen, you're gonna get one. Just trust that it'll happen." And sure enough, a couple months later, they called me and said, "My brother's looking to sell his," and
oh wow!
I said, "I can't afford it," and they said, "We'll hold it for you." They held it for over a year for me while I earned the money to do it. So
yeah, so nice. So you just mentioned that you had a little bit of a hand drumming background. So I'm assuming that might have helped you kind of get started with playing the handpan.
Yeah, I was really shy with music for most of my life. Really, handpan helped me open up quite a bit. But I learned how to play mostly by playing around fire circles in Florida and just jamming with people and listening and having fun.
Yeah.
I had the commonly terrible affliction of thinking that you're born with talent or not. And so for most of my life, I had this idea that, like, I think subconsciously I felt like if I didn't sound good, that I was not talented, and I felt bad about it. So I played like 1 or 2 rhythms for about 6 years.
Right, sure.
And I played one scale on the piano for about 10 years. And looking back, I could have grown more quickly, but the neat thing about that is it helped me gain laser focus, how to do one simple rhythm and really go deep with it. And so that's kind of how I came to handpan, kind of like shyly wanting to explore. And to answer your question earlier, there was definitely no teachers at that time, as you probably remember. And it was all exciting. Like, I remember it was in the years when people were playing the shoulder, it was totally brand new. It's like, what is that sound?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What is
And
that? Yeah. Yeah.
then Victor started building his instruments and from Russia, and the shoulder was unbelievable. And just like, what, you can bend the tones and sing the ding and all this stuff. Everything was brand new every day.
Right. Right. Totally. I know. I remember that too. It's funny.
Quite frankly, it still is. It's so new. Every day I feel like it's a new instrument.
Oh yeah, and people keep making these different changes with the materials they're made out of, and so the handpans respond differently than they used to, and all sorts of things. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fun being part of it in real time like this. Because frequently you learn about history. Yeah, frequently you learn about history, from a historical perspective, but it's really fascinating, like living through it. It's really amazing.
Totally. I mean, especially with this community. I remember for the first year I was all alone, and then when I stumbled across my first, I was like, oh my gosh, my people are here. There's other weirdos who love this thing as much as I do.
Yeah. Yeah, totally fun. All right, so let's talk about the piece that you just played there for a second. I would love to deconstruct it because I was watching, with my experience, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, that was pretty fascinating what he just did there. So one question I get a lot of from customers and people that are interested in handpan is, how do you come up with ideas and how do you create a song? So with the piece that I just saw you play there, it looked like you had an intro where you're playing a lot of soft harmonic kind of stuff. Then you went into a more active thing with a little bit of a rhythm on the ding. And then you kind of expanded, you used some space. You didn't play all the time. You kind of let sometimes the sound just kind of resonate. So it was really a really fun listening experience because it had peaks and valleys to it. So when you create something like that, is that something that you learned and you play the notes exactly the same every time? Or is it something that you kind of have an idea of, kind of like a rough outline, and then you just kind of play on that rough outline? So how do you come up with these ideas?
I am really inspired by musicians like Bobby McFerrin, by musicians like Indian traditions of music and indigenous cultures in relationship with music. I really appreciate this experience of going into the sound and discovering what the sound has to offer from moment to moment. And this has a lot of exciting options with pure improv, but also it can be very terrifying.
Yeah.
So I chose this instrument because I'm borrowing it from a friend and I don't really know it very well. And I just wanted to try something new and explore something new. There's a couple different ways that I'll approach things. I have a basic idea of some things that I want to explore or something I want to practice. I'm going to improvise around that. But for the most part, when I'm being really courageous, and I don't know that I was there in that piece, but when I'm being most courageous, I really try to not have any idea what's happening from moment to moment and really let the moment unfold and let my hands do what's necessary. But in order to do that, I look at things very, very carefully and very slowly in my free time when I'm practicing. So the way that I think about it with the handpan, we can kind of, here we go. We have three components, and I'm always looking at how to mix and match these. We have percussion.
Yeah.
We have harmonies. And we have melodies.
Yep.
And so what I think is really powerful is to take some very simple ideas, like I was just doing here. We have 3 notes. And I'm just going to treat this as a meditation, and I might do something like this, and I'm just trying to relax and not force it, be in good time, catch my breath, make sure I'm breathing deeply, make sure I like every sound. I think it's really easy to rush, so I might even be doing something. And by repeating super simple things that way, they start to unfold themselves. Then I'm like, oh, what if I move this one corner?
Yeah.
And you mentioned space. That is really important to me. We are very often, always, which is cool, and I enjoy that. But the instrument is incredible. and to really listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can hear this here, that if certain note combinations, especially on stainless steel, they'll, as they decay, they'll have their own rhythm.
Oh, sure.
And you can start to follow those rhythms, and they're only going to come in combination with one another. So it's really important to be able to actually hear your instrument. For me, to find that place where the sound meets the silence is one of the deepest places that the instrument can take us.
You know, I love that. I love what you're saying right now, because the way you're perceiving the way you play that instrument is it's an interactive experience with the instrument. Whereas I think a lot of beginners, they're trying to just focus it like, I'm doing this to the instrument, right? Whereas I think what you're doing is you're saying, I'm doing this to the instrument, but then it's giving something back. And then I listen to what it's telling me, and then you play a little bit more, and you listen to what it's telling you. I love that. That's really cool.
100%. I really like what Keith Jarrett said. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if you don't walk away from playing transformed, then it's not necessarily the deepest place that we can go with the instrument. And we can be transformed even while practicing if we decide to take it to that place. I guess how I describe it is like, I'm going to sit down and impose my will on the instrument, like really play exactly what I want to play. Now, I'm not saying don't practice something and craft something, but there has to, I never let, as a great teacher of mine says, I never let what I have planned get in the way of what wants to come through. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Under the ideal circumstance.
So
yeah, we're listening and following. Like, there's a lot to hear.
That's true. You know, and actually, I from my experience, some of the most magical times happen when it doesn't go as planned. And you're like, oh, that's different, and you reflect on it. Sometimes it doesn't always, it's not always a magical experience, but sometimes there's certain times when it doesn't go as planned, but it becomes extra magical somehow because it didn't go as planned. Yeah, it's amazing.
Man, it's a great technique. Sometimes I'll find the ugliest combination I can try to find.
Right.
And I'll try to compose around that. Right, just like how many different ways can I combine these not so great sounds? Yeah. I think that it's really easy to do too much on this instrument. Sometimes I tell people play slowly and breathe, but to be honest with you, like, I spend a lot of time just breathing because it takes so much concentration. Totally.
Did you see my?
Totally.
I say this in every lesson.
That's it, baby.
It's amazing because when I had the people come to the store, when I would have a group of people around me, I would show them like an introductory idea, like how to hit it or whatever, just some simple exercise. And I would watch as people stopped breathing, and you'd have to tell them, make sure you breathe, because you could tell that they were like getting all tight and anxious. And as soon as they start to breathe, then they relax and it comes out more naturally.
Totally. Our breath is directly connected with our body. And if you're practicing and your breath isn't deep, or you're practicing and there's any tension in your jaw and your tongue and your eyes and your shoulders and your arms and your toes, like, slow down, because all you're doing is practicing that and creating a myelin sheath for what you don't want. You know, it's like praying for what you don't want so I always say slow is fast. If you really want to learn, you can save yourself thousands of going very, very slow.
Yeah. So what was I had a thought in mind, but I lost it.
I'll give a shout out. I'll give a shout out then, Dave. Great. Here we go. Shout outs. We got Carlos Cooper. Greetings from Long Beach, California. So he's right around the corner from me. For Rohi Legacy from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Nice. So yeah, I just wanted to say hi to those guys. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And by the way, anybody at any time, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to throw those in. We'll just answer them as much as we can and give you some good hints and suggestions. So I remember what it was now, Peter. It was I think I see. I can't tell because it's dark in the image there, but I think you are playing on your legs. Do you have the handpan on your legs?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a preferred way of playing it, like on your legs, in your lap, sitting down cross-legged? Like, what's your preference of playing the handpan?
The only reason that I play on my legs is because the instrument is so young and we don't have the right tools that we need yet to get all the best sounds. So I play on my knees because I like to play with the percussion a lot. And if you bring your knees in slowly, you can tune the port. You'll hear it drop.
Right.
And so I really want to get that bass sound.
Got it.
I just love that deep, breathy bass. So I play on my lap. I also like to feel the instrument throughout my body, so it's nice. But if I'm recording, I'll put it in a stand because then I can get the bass mic underneath without bumping it with my feet all the time. The legs are also very nice for playing stuff with bottom notes like this guy here, because you can really bring them in and still have access to them.
Yeah.
Right. So I used to play only sitting when I practice. Sometimes I practice right here on the couch and I just sit. But I generally don't like it because when you're on the floor, you choke the bass. And for me, this is where the breath, where all the life comes alive in the instrument. If the port's covered or it's choked and that can't breathe, it just, to me, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I will say, so, and I go over this a lot in some of my videos on YouTube. The one thing that's absolutely essential is to tilt the instrument at least like 20 degrees away from you rather than towards you, because here you can really hurt your wrists. And a lot of players do that to see the notes when they first start, but it's really important to be able to keep this neutral wrist angle.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I teach that as well. I always say just you can move it forward a little bit so that it's a little flatter so your wrist isn't, torqued out in a really weird position.
Totally.
Oh, so I wanted to follow up real quick. So for the real beginners out there, a lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, just the simple touch of getting the note, to have a good sound. Typically teach kind of a flat-wristed kind of approach, and it kind of falls with gravity like this. And then my finger just strikes the note, and it just kind of rebounds off the note really fast, and it creates the tone. I noticed that you incorporate a lot of different techniques of how to strike the notes, and basically, and I tell the students this as well, like this is my way of getting like my normal sound, but you can practice with all of your fingers to get different and unique sounds from the instrument, and that's part of the right. So can you just kind of give us like a rundown of like your basic strike, how you your basic standard strike, and then maybe some of your favorite other effects that you use with the finger?
A basic rundown. I am not generally good for basic rundowns. I have a video on my, but I'll do my best. Video on my YouTube channel, Handpan 360, called Best Sound, and it's just talking about this strike and this strike, and it's about 25 minutes long.
Okay.
I really believe that this is everything. If you can get a good sound, that's what everything is building off of. So I'll quickly speak about what I think is really important. I think that most of the energy for me, now everybody plays different. You can watch Adrian Portilla, and he plays much more kind of like from the elbow, and he's amazing and super fast and super articulate. I really focus on the wrist. So even when I'm playing fast, my arms are never really far from the instrument. They're always like have their own gravitational field. And I play mostly with my thumb down on the bottom notes. I never play my thumb up on the higher notes because I don't like the sound. When I'm playing in the tones, I'm often grabbing in the dimples because this really gives you a nice warm sound. It cuts down on that kind of slappy sound.
Yeah.
And so I like that. Unless I want more percussion, then I'll play in the tone field. Otherwise, I'm going to grab that dimple border. But I will say that if you can, and you have short fingernails, you need to have your flesh extending beyond your nails. And so for some, you need to cut your nails for a while for it to do that. But my favorite technique is what I call the bent finger technique. And that's striking right in the dimple. Let's see if you can see that. Right in the dimple at a 90-degree angle with the very tip of the bone. And this, to me, gives you the cleanest sound. I'll demonstrate real quickly for you to get a feel. So you can hear, even with the dimple sound, there's a little tet, tet, tet. And so if I want to play something really emotional, evocative, with a lot of dynamic range, it's more difficult this way because when I get quiet, that tet gets really loud in the mix. As opposed to. So if I'm playing something like so you can hear that tet. Now I'll go to bent. Flat. Bent. And for me, that's just so beautiful and so powerful. This instrument can get so quiet and subtle, more than anything else. And while we're on that topic, I will say, because you mentioned one of the most essential components of playing, the easiest way you can get way more emotion and quality into your sound is just by varying how loudly you strike. So I could play the same pattern. Maybe change one note at the same volume, or you can change the tempo as well, which can be nice.
Yeah.
And that contrast just creates such a beautiful sound.
Right.
Then if you want to say something, you really can. I'm playing a little fast here because I know we have a limited amount of time. I'm trying to juice the orange all the way for you.
Right. No, I love it. I love all of your ideas. You know, it's interesting. I've seen a lot of people come in to my store, and it's like they have a curved finger, but it's more of like a piano technique curved finger. And they tend to like put the note like this. And of course, when they grab at it, it tends to mute the note, and then they get all frustrated. So what you're talking about is you strike it with a curved finger, but it's like a downward motion, and it immediately comes off of the note, right?
Totally. Yeah, I'm going really just 100% 90 degrees here.
Yeah.
And I'm coming right off of it. Right. And that's the key to a really clean tone for all of it is being, I'm very noodly. I'm putting a little bit of energy, throwing the finger down. Like when I'm coming up, the finger is lifted. So I get as much action as possible, whether I'm moving in this plane or more in this plane. It's lifted and I throw it. But as soon as I throw it, then is like, just like a basketball. It's going to bounce right back up.
Yeah.
And the more that it bounces, the more tone I'm going to get. And this really comes back to your breath and relaxation. Like for a lot of us, we store a lot of tension. And I'm telling you, if you play with your jaw tight or any tightness, get a mirror or record yourself. You can open up Zoom and have a meeting with nobody, and you can watch yourself with the webcam.
Right.
And you can really see if you're holding tension, slow down. And while we're talking about that, I would also say simplify. We're trying, including myself, we're trying to do too much all the time.
Yeah.
And so I try to remind myself, like, instead of trying to say everything and saying nothing, simplify and actually say something, you know? So like I could just take 2 notes and I can actually really milk that, you know?
Yeah.
Or 3. To me, that's a lot more interesting than.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like taking all the colors and throwing them together and you get brown.
Yeah.
You know, you really want to be able to experience each one.
I hate to interrupt, but we got some comments. You guys, oh my God, Peter, you are just speaking the truth right now. I'm shocked right now. I'm just blown away. So anyways, we have Otski from Palos Verdes. Says he's a big fan of Peter. I love watching his lesson videos. He's amazing. Love the way he laughs. I love the way he laughed too. So awesome, Peter.
Oh yeah.
And Polly and Barb has a question. Let me bring it on here. Boom. And they are saying, "Hi, Peter. We are very new to the handpan instruments. Actually, they become really good friends. They have an awesome ranch. You see some of their pictures in Montana. It's crazy. But they're asking, what scale notes would you recommend for daily practice? P.S. Thank you for
that's
awesome talent." Polly and Barb.
Thank you. So real quick, are you guys left or right-handed? That is an important question about the scale thing. And then I will say it's a deep topic. I just recorded like 4 hours that I need to edit down, going over 20 different scales for choosing your first scale. So it is a deep question, but I'll do my best to answer. I think that a minor is a really good place to start for most people, unless you have a very stressful job and you hear, or just like you hear a major and it's just like, oh my God, it's what you want to experience all the time. For instance, I have a student who is a doctor, he has a high stress job. Like when he plays a handpan, he just wants it to be vacation island in the sun. So then a major can be really nice. But for me, the minor is going to give you more of the human experience. And for me, when I'm playing, I want to express what it's like to be a human as sincerely as I can. And so the minor is going to do that. Now, a good scale for me also has some major voicing if you choose. This is an Anaziska, also known as a curd. Doesn't matter what key you get it in. For beginners, I recommend low so you can get as well, and they're a little easier. So I would say somewhere between B and D is the perfect beginner place. Again, though, register's personal. If you hear a higher registered instrument, go for that. But for most people, I'd say between B and D. This is a curd. It's great because you have some tension here with this half step on tone field 1 and 2. I love that. But also it's really great because you have a full major voicing. And then you can get into that dark color too if you want. Right, so that's really nice to be able to have a good voicing for major and minor. The Celtic or Amara is another really good one. For that, it's got a lot of scale options, or I mean a lot of chord options. Those are probably
did say they were
versatile.
They're saying they're right-handed.
Right-handed. So this could be different for everybody. I find that I like to have my dominant hand tonic, my tonic be the opposite of my dominant hand. So I'm left-handed. I like it on the right because then often I can finish melodies right with my center tone with my left hand. Though that can be a small thing. It doesn't necessarily make the difference. If you love a scale, you love a scale. But curd is nice. I think a lot of right people like it for that reason, because here I am. I'm finishing on the tonic, which is tone field 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that can be really nice to have that strong finish. And then real quick for other people listening, if you like major, I think the Sabai or Saba D in any key is really good because it's another good one that has minor and major all over. And the other minor scale I love is Ursa minor. It's not as versatile as the curd or the Celtic, but it's just juicy and deep and really moody, which I like. So
nice, thank you. Or not Paul. Thank you, Polly and Barb, for the question. Actually, and we have a couple more questions real quick. Shane Sizemore is asking, oh wait, is that the first question? No, his first one was, what's the negative results of stainless? And I'm going to add the other one because it's similar. And this one is nitrite in comparison to stainless. My handpan being made is nitrite, and I'm clueless about the main difference. Mine is Azari. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I did 10 hours total with scale of filming, 10 hours of filming for scale, for material, and register. These are big questions. I'm happy to geek out. You guys can email me too if you have questions. It's handpan360@gmail.com. We can talk about this endlessly, but I'll try to give it a super quick nutshell. Stainless is really beautiful. It's really nice for anything, but it's especially nice for like a major. It's got a really long sustain. So if you really like to play meditatively for massage or yoga or for ceremony, or just like, it's just, you want to really, that's the kind of style you really like. I mean, you cannot do better than stainless. Now, I want to preface this by saying materials, the main ones that we have are raw steel, there's stainless, and there's nitride. They're like big Venn diagrams. People like you'll read a lot of even famous handpan companies that have very low quality instruments that will boast of their high quality material. Material, quite honestly, does not matter even a drop compared to the craftsmanship of the builder. You really, like, everything is in the build, in the choice of the architecture, and in the skill and devotion of the builder. That's what's going to create a good sounding instrument. I will say there are overarching themes. More sustain on stainless, which can be a drawback if you like to play very fast. If you like scales that have half steps, like right here, neighboring half steps, you might not be able to hear. This is called crosstalk. And you can tell if I mute one and then I let it go, you can hear that they're talking a little bit. And it's especially, this is a major second, so it's not as offensive as when it happens on a half step, like Ursa Minor 8 note can have a half step up top. And so that can be very not. Also, if you have a lot of bottom notes with stainless, sometimes everything sings. And if you don't like all that color, I'll try to give you a good example. Then you might want nitride, which is a little bit more controlled. Now I'll give you, this is a great example of nitrided. You have little less sustain, more controlled timbre, more fundamental. Stainless tends to activate harmonics more and get more sparkly. And you can hear, this is like a perfect shoulder example on stainless. Very metallic, can be very, that's like some of the best sounding nitrided ones. They'll tend to be less activating in the interstitial. So you can hear when I do that, it's just the whole thing is going to wake up, right? And I actually have a nitrided that's very similar to this scale, so you can hear. And I'll play that quick passage for you too. And so you can kind of hear that the notes open and close more quickly, so you can kind of feel them with more precision. But nitriding is extremely difficult to do well. So some builders buy from known meshers like Ayasa shells, and that can help. My favorite pans very often are nitrided by those who have came up with their own recipe that they really like. But I won't get into it too crazy here, but for very many reasons, it's a very difficult process to remain consistent. And so I think that's why there's a lot of, you cannot just say one material is better than another. Like nitrided can sound very much like stainless. Listen to Jacob Lee of Axiom Handpans. His nitrided sound more like stainless oftentimes. And then, you everything in. So it really comes down to finding a builder that you trust and a material that and a brand that you really like the sound of. If possible, you get to play the instrument in person is wonderful. And if not possible, try to get great video and ask people like that and trust, like Dave. Yeah, beware of reverb, by the way. If you hear it in a demo video, that's a red flag.
There's that laugh. Thank you, Peter.
Actually, no, it's amazing. The kind of materials that handpans are made out of, like you said, it relies more heavily on the tuner's ability than it does the material itself. Like you could get an excellent tuner to make something out of really junky kind of metal, and it'll still sound like pretty cool. Whereas if you get like a really poor tuner working with stainless, which is typically a really nice, mellow, like you said, something with a lot of reverb and that sort of thing, and it'll sound just really bad. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with the abilities of the tuner, but each one of those kind of materials has a different sound, and that's ultimately the way we kind of think of it here at DII, is like it's a customer's experience. Like if they like it, that's, kind of go with what you like. I don't know. I think it's an experiential thing.
I would say that stainless is generally easier for new players.
Yeah, definitely for new players, you can get a little bit more sustain and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like the touch is easier, definitely, on the stainless.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do mention that for the beginners if they want, because in the beginning it's tough to get those fingers strengthened and get the tone out, and the RS is definitely easier. One more comment. A dame 49. 1 month into my first handpan, learning a ton from this presentation. So good job.
Awesome.
And Shane, he has the handpan on his page. I heard he's amazing, so I hope so. Oh, okay. He's saying thank you so much, and he's commenting back for everything. So thank you, Peter.
Yeah, all right, well, I will say while we're here. Oh,
go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, while we're talking about quality of timbre is a huge thing, but also note stability is equally as important. And another great reason to work with somebody like Dave, because you see a lot of people out there, I think either they don't know, or for whatever reason, I don't know, but you can get a handpan to sound okay and even nice, but that doesn't mean that it's going to hold its tuning for very long. And the difference between a well-tuned, stable instrument, it can be literally like 20, 30, 40, 50 times more work. And so it really is just like, it's not even, when I see stuff that is, poorly built for 2,000, it hurts my heart. But sometimes I see it for 500 and I'm like, I wouldn't even buy it for that. It's not even the same instrument. Quite frankly, it's like buying a piano with a broken pegboard. It will never stay in tune. And so what's the purpose? So there's a lot, unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there. So you got to be careful and ask people who know.
Yeah. All right. Well, Peter, what do you say we do a little more playing? Do you want to do another song for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can play us a little something, and then we'll kind of like move it out from there. Because I don't know how long we've been talking so far.
We are on for 48 minutes.
Pretty good.
I got my coffee, so
yeah.
Okay.
You guys have to stop me, or I'll just keep going.
Maybe I think we talked about this before. Maybe give 3 quick tips we have a lot of beginners on right now, so just like 3 quick tips, and then give us some tunage. I love your playing.
Sure. Thank you. I don't know if I can limit to 3, but I'll try to keep it brief. Most important things, if I could go back and tell myself, definitely slow down. Like you don't even know what slow is. Like, quite frankly, there's something really fascinating to check out called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a fascinating concept that basically says when we're new, we think we know everything, and when we get really good, we think we know nothing because we know how much we don't know. And this was true for my journey. And I really wish I slowed down and spent more time doing everything properly, so I didn't have to go and like completely reconstruct how I'm playing. So enjoy the process. I'm always reminding myself and my students, like, are you late for something? Like, what's the hurry?
Yeah, right.
Like, really listen to the sound and listen to the, give yourself, I can't tell you how many people play and they don't listen to a chord all the way through until it meets silence. And that's there's so much in that, to go slow, to make sure that your strike is really clean. And like, I've been playing for 10 years and today I spent 4 hours practicing, and half of that was looking at how I'm striking, where I'm striking. I'm just constantly reevaluating and constantly fine tuning that. So, it just goes deeper and deeper. So be comfortable in your body. If you're not comfortable, make yourself comfortable. Otherwise, you're training yourself. And if that's the experience you want to have, playing in pain, playing uncomfortably, that's, I guess, just don't recommend it. And generally it'll go with mean to ourselves in our head too. So if you find yourself comparing or being like, that's not what I want it to be, it's like, yeah, we're all just learning and trying. So thanks for your feedback. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing.
Yeah.
So there's that. And the other thing I would say is really that piece about talent and skill. I really, for most of my life until about 3 years ago, subconsciously felt that some people were really talented and some people just weren't. And I think that this really haunted me. And for sure, some people are talented, but that's very rarely a marker of how far we can go in something. 90% of how far we're going to move into something really has to do with practice and how much you want to give yourself to it. So if you really love it and you struggle, it does not matter. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you can go as far as you want. Just be patient and practice things well and enjoy the process, and you'll go really far.
Enjoy
I
and
think
try
that's about
to
it.
enjoy as much as possible. Yeah.
Big time. And the last thing I'll
Yeah.
say, I think Quincy Jones said it best from his teacher. I can't pronounce her name, I'll butcher it, but she taught some of the best musicians and composers of the 20th century. And she said, "You'll never be more or less a musician than you are a human being." And that really hits me deeply. Like, I think we play a lot, and it's easy to get into the competitive mindset of like playing for entertainment, and like, I want to be the fastest, I want to whatever. Um, but there's so much in, like, I think it's very easy not even to put yourself into the instrument. And I challenge people when even when they're practicing 3 notes over and over again, to like put yourself into it, to play a feeling, to play something you're joyful about, or something that is painful, or something that's real for you in the moment. Like, really just try to be like very sincere. That's something that I find changes my practice. It changes my performance, and helps me go a lot deeper with the practice. So
Yeah, I think that's one
whatever
of your
that is.
hallmarks, by the way, Peter. I think one of the hallmarks you have is being able to communicate that sincerity of your feelings, and that's at least that's what I get from when I hear you play. It sounds very sincere, and when I watch you play, it just feels like you are being absorbed in it and just allowing yourself to be present in the moment. And I think that's really amazing. So you do a great job, and I'm always just completely charmed by your playing. I just watch, it's really fun to watch you. So with that being said, do you want to play a little something for us?
Sure. We'll do consensus vote. Do you want like a straight up minor? Do you want something major, or do you want something spicy?
I like spicy.
What are the people out there
saying?
saying?
With the
I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get the comments in real quick. If you heard Peter.
Spicy might be like something like a Ursa Minor or a Hijaz, right? Is that what you mean by spicy?
Estelle says major.
I consider the Ursa a little bit more just like minor, but like a moody minor. When I think spicy, I think harmonic minor modes.
Right.
So, or like any mode that's outside of the basic modes. Yeah.
What do you think of Pygmy?
Pygmy, I would not call spicy. I would. Yeah. I love Pygmy. I love Pygmy.
More of a minor,
it's nice
though, right?
to have that fourth. Definitely. I would call that a straight up minor. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we leave it up to the comments, we have major. Oh, we just got a D minor. We got a minor. There's 2 minors. Here we go.
Awesome. Okay.
Here we go. And the minor's winning right now. Minor's winning. We'll wait for one more. Right, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be the minor. Yep. There it is. Minor it is.
I'm not going to do D, though. I apologize, because I want to play this Pan Smith pan because it's beautiful.
Estelle's confirming, so she changed her thing.
Sorry, all the pans I have here are beautiful, but this is the one I want to play in the moment.
All right.
All right. Let me give him the screen. Here we go.
I love it. There's the clap. There's the applause we need. That's right. The great Peter Levitov, ladies and gentlemen. He's amazing. So thank you, Peter.
Can I offer 2 more things before we break?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I remembered while I was playing. Essential things. Whatever you practice with your, and I wasn't doing a good example of it there. I promise I spent 2 hours practicing it today. Whatever you do with your left hand, I wish I did this early on. Practice with your right hand. The handpan is not a hand dominant instrument in terms of like really being able to play it with most versatility. The notes are on both sides. So if you really want to get the most out of it, it really helps to practice every rhythm that you do with the left hand with the right hand. I started working on this about 5 years ago, and I wish that I had started from the very beginning because it's slow going, undoing habits. But I wish I started with that from the beginning. And I think that we spoke about it, but really like leaving space in your compositions and in your improvisations. Like I think of it like a fish in the water, and the fish can speed up, it can slow down, but like there's a connection to the music all the way through. And so you can, especially if you're playing by yourself, you can be fluid with the tempo, but like keep connection to the whole stream. So even when I'm playing something like, and it's quiet, I'm still hearing and feeling the pulse like in my body. It's very helpful to move your body. So, and while I'm listening to it, I'm still bum, 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 bum. And so when you're coming in through those spaces, it's not random. You really have that connection and that pulse. That's just so powerful. And there's one last thing that just, I think it might have popped out of my head. Give me 3 seconds, and if it has, we'll let it go.
Here, I'm gonna mess you up and give you a question. Shane is asking again. So you think the Dii Azario is a good one for the hospital for sick people? That's a good question. Actually.
I don't know what the Azario is. Do you know the notes off the top of your head?
I don't know the notes.
And a Ziska is one thing I mentioned, and Kurd, they're the same scale. And then, so if you know the notes, I can give you my thoughts. Honestly, everything is good for hospitals and healing if you know, but I will say like spicier scales are probably not always, met with the same cultural understanding as they might in other settings.
I think he said, let's see, D minor. So,
right, but we need to know we need to know the notes to get a sense of how it functions.
Yeah.
I will say, I guess this is kind of, unless you know somebody who knows some theory, it's really nice to have the 5th as tone field 1. Sometimes you have the 3rd or the 4th in like the Pygmy or Magic Voyager or Equinox. I really like having 5th as tone field 1 for beginners especially. It's just so strong and it gives you a lot of range of expression. Generally a really important thing when you're thinking about scales is where does it resolve. So 4 means if you have an 8-noter, you have 4 notes on the bottom and 4 notes for kind of higher melodies, and you've got a nice split. Once you get to 5, it can be a little bit more tricky to have like leading melody lines. So for beginners, I often choose a resolution of your middle tone and the octave to be either tone field 4 or 3. But if you love the Equinox, if you love something else like the Sabai, it's okay too.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right, cool, Peter. Everybody out there, you guys can find Peter at Handpan 360 on YouTube, and you can go ahead. Did you remember what you wanted to say?
I almost remembered what I was going to say, but I remembered something different, which is about the YouTube channel. There is like over an hour and a half, I think now, or 2 or 3 hours, actually, if you consider all of them, of lessons on Handpan 360, and there's a lot of really great information there. So if you want some free stuff, go check it out.
Somebody's asking if Peter can create a lesson video with a D Celtic minor, that would be great.
Great, yeah. So I am working on a full-length course right now that's super insanely geeky deep, and I'm going to be focusing on the Celtic heavily in that. It's great if you can play along, but I try to mix it up for everybody. So sometimes I might do D Celtic or C sharp. The patterns always work, even if you have a different register. If it's the same scale, the same patterns work. So that's good to keep in mind.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. You can also be contacted at handpan360@gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's right. And if you want to get on the list for the course when that comes out, which will probably be late spring, early summer, then you can go to handpan360.com.
The email is on, so you guys can use that.
On screen?
The email's on the screen.
Oh, got it. Right on. All right. Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming in today. It was really fun talking with you, catching up a little bit. And again, like I always say, you're just a joy to watch and listen to. And I can't wait for the next time.
Thank you. Likewise, Dave. You have such a great attitude for life. You're an inspiration to us all, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I just want to mention, Peter, that was awesome. I learned so much, and I love your philosophy on what you're talking about. It's funny because we were just sharing. I share almost the same thing, and I love that you're on that path, and I love to hear about your journey because that's what it's about. It's a musical journey. So, what is it, Dave? Get started and keep on strumming ukulele.
That's Daniel's tagline for his ukulele classes. Awesome. All right. Well, Peter, do you want to play a little something as we fade out here?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
Thank you.
Here we go. We'll go about a minute and fade away. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Namaste, and don't breathe.